Unical Radio International, Entertainment 360, Edutainment 360, Infotainment 360. We smile like that.
Good evening, listeners. I'm happy to be here with you once again. It's another Wednesday, and guess what? It's ABC of Health with Dr. Thelma. So, how have you been since the last time we met, or last time we were together? All right, so today we have a very loaded conversation that I think everybody should be interested. Today we're going to be talking about substance abuse and addiction. And the theme for today's show is, I just want to get high. What's the big deal? I mean, what's the big deal? People just want to get high. I want to forget my problems, I want to forget my sorrows, I want to belong. So what's the big deal? There's something really wrong with getting high. So today we're going to have a huge conversation, and I have a seasoned doctor in the house. I have a young lady in the house who's going to be talking to us from the perspective of a young Nigerian in today's Nigeria, who's experiencing all the troubles, the struggles, and she's going to be telling us, she's going to be talking to us. So I want you to keep it locked on 103.5 Unical Radio International. Join us on the conversation, listen in, and shortly we'll be giving out the phone number to the studio so you can call in and make your contributions. And so we'll go on right now. So quickly, I'd like to introduce my special guest for today. And he is a fellow of the West African College of Physicians. He's a seasoned consultant psychiatrist, Dr. Egbeh. You're welcome to the studio, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Thelma, and I'm happy for what you're doing here.
Thank you very much, sir. You're welcome. All right, so we're going to meet the young lady that I told you about. She's my guest, and I hope I get your name right. Forgive me. So I'll just stick with beautiful lady. Her name is Eigbire-Molen. Claire, tell me how to pronounce the other one.
So it's Eigbire-Molen.
Eigbire-Molen.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Claire. So Claire Eigbire-Molen, you're welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
All right, I'm excited to have you. So we're going to go right into it. And Dr. Egbeh, you know, you're one person that I love to listen to. Like, I don't get tired of listening to you. So I know my listeners are going to have the time of their life today. So this is a very sensitive topic, yeah, because substance abuse is a huge dilemma. We would only be fooling ourselves if we pretend like we don't know that we're having, we have a sleeping, or what should I call it? There's something knocking, and then I don't think we're doing so much about it. So we're going to talk about substance abuse today. I want to get high. I'd like you to first of all tell me, in the perspective of getting high, what does that really mean? When people say, I want to be high, what does it mean? Can you tell us, what does it mean, really?
I think you made our job easier in the introduction when you talked about trying to escape their sorrows,
Yeah.
trying to escape a little bit of reality. And if one ever tries to take something that makes you high, it's quite an interesting experience for that moment. People just want to do it over and over again. Use of psychoactive substances, things that alter different aspects of our mental functioning, thinking, could be our mood, our consciousness, has always been there with man. It's part of having fun, age grades, makes the party more interesting. So it's something we've been used to. However, just like you mentioned, an evidence shows that it's becoming a problem. And maybe as we talk some more, we'll get to understand how big this monster has become.
Thank you very much. So it's the ability, or let me say the longing to escape reality. I just don't want to feel the pain. I don't want to feel what's going on. So I just want to be on like a fake realness, like whatever, a fake life. Something is happening, but I don't want to feel what's happening. So I'm just high. I can't see it. I can't feel it. So it's just temporary, isn't it?
In fact, it even gets more interesting. Especially medical students there. I've come to find out that people are so knowledgeable about chemical substances.
Yes.
That for this thing they want to do, this is what they take
Yeah.
to do it better.
This, okay.
For this other activity, this is what they have to take. So they are always on one chemical substance
Or the other.
Okay. And you and I know what that is doing to our liver,
Exactly.
our kidneys, beyond the effects on the brain.
Exactly. Oh, that's Claire. I'm going to come right to you shortly. Dr. Egbeh, can you tell us now, medically, what is the true definition of substance abuse?
Okay. Now let's call it this whole rubric of substance use. Now, they can become disorders. So you have substance use disorders,
Okay.
big problem. But I'll just mention 3 of these disorders that can come from use of substance. Use of the substance in itself is not a problem. I mean, we use alcohol socially.
Yeah.
If we use a substance that is not legal, that is not a medical problem. It's a legal problem.
Illegal problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, but sometimes it can become a problem. 3 ways. 1, like you mentioned, abuse.
Yeah.
Then there's another problem, dependence. And the other problem is it could lead to any of the disorders. It could be psychosis, it could be a mood disorder that is from the damage that the substance has caused to
In
the
the
brain.
body. Oh.
Now let's talk about abuse or misuse. You continue to use this substance even when you know it's harmful. Sometimes when you're sober, you realize it's affecting my time I spend to read.
Yeah.
I've got cuts. If it's a country where people are getting cuts, maybe with blood alcohol levels and all of that, I've had to face cuts for this reason. I've had other issues because of this. My girlfriend is complaining of it. I continue to use it in the face of damage, or the internists have told me your liver may need to, and I find it difficult to stop using it. So that's abuse. Now, dependence has to do with when there's something physiological going on. Usually we define it in terms of tolerance, that you need higher levels to get the same high, so you keep increasing the levels. And when you're not taking the substance, here is a very important one about dependence. You have withdrawal symptoms.
Okay.
So we keep talking to people, you need to stop this thing. But we've not bothered to find out why are they not stopping. We just think they don't want to stop. Withdrawal symptoms. So for instance, you notice somebody who has a problem with alcohol, wants to take alcohol first thing in the morning because that time he slept at night.
Didn't take it.
Withdrawal
He wakes
symptoms.
up and he's anxious, he's shaking.
Yeah,
He
that's why
doesn't
the
want to
PH
take it.
questionnaire eye opener.
Exactly.
So that is dependence, among other things. Now, just like we mentioned earlier, it can also cause damage. And the interesting thing is that the link between cannabis that is so commonly used, weed, Arizona, SK, the link between cannabis and psychosis is very strong. So you can imagine what is going to happen to some vulnerable people
In the
who
next
keep
5,
using
10
it.
years.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, Claire, I'm going to ask you as a young person, a young star, you're a young Nigerian, you're a medical student. These are the people that have heavy load of academic work and all that. What do you think is responsible for the young people going into substance abuse?
Okay, for young people going into substance abuse, there are quite a number of factors which I would like to outline. One of it is life stress or mental stress in that regard. So you have people that have anxiety and they are taking substances to sort of like put them out of the mood. You have people that are, feeling sad or depressed and they are taking substances to get that level of high or euphoria that allows them to escape for the meantime. You also have people that take it to enhance their performance, right? Then you also have young people taking it because other people are taking it.
Peer pressure.
Yeah, peer pressure as a fact, because it's seen that when you take it, you look cool, so they want to try it out. So you also have the curiosity factor.
Okay, so those people just take it because they don't really know what it is. I mean, why are people taking it? So they're just curious. And
Let me just see how
it feels like.
Yes.
Yeah.
And when they take it, they want to feel that experience again, and that's how it
And then they get hooked. So amongst all of these categories of people you have mentioned, which do you think is the predominant category, like for young people? What would be the top? Could it be life worries? Could it be peer pressure? Could it be curiosity? What do you think tops it? I know it's not research, like the values might not be correct, but predictions now more like, what do you think? Being that you're a student, you're a young person, and then you've associated with a lot of your age grade. So what do you think would be top on the list?
Okay. Top on the list for me would be life pressures, life stress. Then next to it would also be the feeling of peer pressure, trying to be among
feel among,
yes.
So you put life pressures for stress.
Yes, especially as I'm a medical student, so I'm really coming from that.
Yeah, so I get your point. So you're looking at from your point of view.
Yes.
Some other people would have peer pressure on top of that.
Yes, definitely.
So
if I may, Dr. Thelma,
sure.
We're just talking about one research article, very recent paper, a study conducted among undergraduates in most states, Southeast Nigeria. And there was a very strong association between peer pressure.
Yeah.
If you have a roommate, you have a brother,
a
friend that does substance,
more likely to.
And there's an interesting thing I'd like to just talk about it. Undergraduates usually fall within the teen years. And for us in behavioral sciences, we know that stage of development is a stage where people want to try things. They are transiting from, childhood to adulthood.
Yeah.
And they are very susceptible to peer pressure.
Yes.
Another interesting thing is when people begin to use substance before the age of 21, that is thought that a certain complex in the frontal lobe is supposed to develop, they are more likely to have problems. They are more likely to have difficulties controlling their use.
Yeah.
So they are more susceptible to abuse and dependence.
Okay. All right. So that says a lot. Okay. Now let's talk about what are the common substances of abuse we have. For every, I think it's peculiar for every environment, isn't it? And then it cuts across what people can afford also. So in a particular terrain, you might have amongst the high class, there might be some kinds of things that are going on, and amongst the middle class, there might be. Overall, what sort of substances do people readily abuse around us?
Very good question, Dr. Thelma. I would like to say at this point that there's no end to the variety of things people use together. If you want to discuss them, you will just laugh. Just heard recently, people get high from, they have to go to sewage places where
I heard that one too.
Sulfide and all kinds of things people do. But the common ones, always, it's good to think of alcohol. Always good to think of alcohol. Cannabis becoming a problem. There's something Claire said earlier that was really troubling, that it's becoming like a normal thing. It's no longer so frowned at, cannabis. And you and I know that ladies, women, females are more susceptible to the effects of substance, including alcohol.
Exactly.
So the units,
even in the calculations, women tolerate lower doses.
And it's shocking that the research shows that the lifetime use rates between male and female is about the same. More than 80% lifetime use. So almost everybody is using it. And so our nation alcohol, cannabis, tramadol, and all the other opiates. And nowadays the amphetamines are coming into town.
Exactly.
Ice, cocaine is still a problem in town.
Exactly.
So there's endless variety of things people use. And interestingly, medical students have gone a step further. Students in the Faculty of Science have gone a step further. They are doing things, they are cooking things, they are putting things together.
So they are now mixing stuff.
And getting, so you can't, even if you do the standard test, you can't detect anything. But from their behaviors and other observations, somebody's getting high on something.
Okay, Claire, you're a trainee currently with the Acido Mental Health Guild.
Yes, I am.
Working as a coordinator for Unical Acido Campus Network.
Yes, I am.
What does that entail? What's your training about? What's the whole Acido Mental Health Guild thing? Can you just let us know shortly?
So the Acido Mental Health Guild is part of the programs by the Acido Foundation. Acido is a Kogi word that means connectedness or inner peace. So the aim of that foundation is to create more awareness about mental health and also reduce the stigma associated with talking about these mental health problems and create an enabling environment for these conversations. So my training as an Asido Mental Health Guild member is to understand what mental health is, understand the problems that are associated with mental health, the different mental health disorders ranging from anxiety to depression and substance use and the rest of them. Then also how to understand communication, how to communicate with people that are going through a tough time, people that are depressed, amongst other things in the curriculum. We were able to be trained on that. And the purpose of trying to set up an Asido campus network on Unical is also to provide this service to Malabites and Malabreses in this university. You know, other campuses have some sort of mental health program or mental health club or committee, but to the best of my knowledge, I'm not aware of any in University of Calabar. So, and I'm very passionate about mental health, so I want to see how we can work with other students and even the administrators to set up something that supersedes us and outlives us.
Okay,
Thank you.
That's honestly, that's beautiful. You sound really passionate about it. Like I can hear it from your voice. Actually, I can actually feel it in your voice. Well, that's right. So you're training to be a coordinator. But let me ask you: are there any? Do you identify any risk factors in University of Calabar that could be a pointer or a reason why students would indulge in substance abuse more readily? Do you think there are any loopholes? Do you think that there's any how do I put it? I don't need to get what I'm saying. Is there anything that makes University of Calabar students more at risk of substance abuse? Something that if we could work on might help to mitigate the prevalence of substance abuse amongst students?
For that question, I don't really know personally, to be honest, but I think those factors we mentioned earlier about trying to feel among, trying to cope with stress of your department or stress of school in general. Probably you're not having as much support as you would have as a student. You're trying to fend for yourself and all that, and you're just looking for an escape, from all these problems. So those are the things that come into my mind when you ask me that question.
Okay, then most of those things, sorry, surely I'll get to you, are things that maybe the university had no control over. What do you think? Like stress of life might be family oriented, like maybe family, the background, and that's not under the direct control of the university. But however, other things that are academic stress, maybe course outlines, weight of courses, something, lecture time. I'm told that some people usually complain we don't have lecture halls, some have to struggle, some have to sit, some have to stand. Those ones are the ones I'm actually asking. Do you think there are things that could be modified to make students feel better? Hostel accommodation, maybe bursaries, something could cushion students to an extent. You understand?
Yes, I understand.
Okay, those ones might be under the purview of the university, but stress of life is everywhere. People are coming from their homes and all that. So that's why I asked, like, could it be changing infrastructure? Do you think lecture hours are longer? Do you think something that students could relate to? Like you, for instance, the medical student, what do you think would help you better, make you less stressed, and still get you to, get your medical training? That's what I mean.
So for that, the infrastructures have to be welcoming. Even the human infrastructure itself, when the environment is not conducive for you as a student, when your self-esteem is brought down and
exactly.
you're being told that, yes, you cannot get to a certain level, you cannot pass this, you cannot pass that if you don't. So all those things can get to anybody's self-esteem, can affect anybody's academic productivity. So I think if the management should look towards improving the structure and way in which students are spoken to, in which they are taught, and we should be encouraged to excel, not the other way around, right? So I really, when you raised that up, I really resonated with that, and I think it's a very, very important factor, for students to be able to be in an environment that encourages them to thrive. Like you also mentioned, even their accommodation is something that, I mean, if the standard of living is elevated, I see no reason why they would be going through stress as regards accommodation. I mean, when I stayed in the other hostel for a while, you could have like almost 10 people in one room, because they cannot afford to have separate accommodation. So you have people squatting, and it's not normal for anybody to be in that kind of confined space and still be expected to be productive and live a good academic life.
So these are all the issues.
Yes, these are very
pertinent issues. Yes, that could also help. So a lot of people have fallen victim of substance abuse because of the stressors that could actually be improved, isn't it? I think so. You were going to say something.
Yes. Thank you for this very nice perspective that you brought. I'd like to look at the accommodation from another perspective.
Okay.
In Unica, it's possible quite a number of students of a certain socioeconomic status are more likely to be living outside.
Okay, yeah.
And if we were to do a study in Unica, from the direction the literature shows, people who live outside campus are more likely to be using substance. They are less likely to come to lectures.
Yes, true.
So if the facilities were more habitable, so that people of all socioeconomic status choose to live in campus, it will accomplish two things. One, it will reduce the likelihood, because in some environments that are so unsupervised, places people stay here, so, and these are young people,
yes,
that are growing into adulthood. So that may be minimized by staying in hostels. Not that the hostels would take away and become secondary school hostels, but at least some degree of things can be. Because one thing, substance thrives where there's lack of regulation.
Yeah.
And two, I think it's very important. I'm not sure Unica has a program. Unica probably doesn't realize this problem is there. Or if they do, maybe it's not formal. And they probably don't have an intervention to try to, how do we try to reduce this? Is it starting from even health education? Let's do maybe World Substance Day. Let's try to do some things to see, So if you instill those interventions, and most of your students are on campus, you're more likely to get more out of it, to reduce, because if you don't reduce the levels of substance use, your academic productivity might not be. And maybe when we talk some more,
yes,
we're going to talk about other aspects.
We're going there right away. Now, Dr. Egbeh, we had talked about you talked about dependence, earlier when we just started. Then I want us to bring this word addiction. Now, I want us to talk about it. So what is that? What's addiction? What does it mean?
Addiction seems to cover abuse, dependence, and a little more.
Okay.
So it's more loosely used.
Okay, yes.
But could be synonymous with abuse and dependence. Addiction simply means I'm hooked to this.
Yes, you can't do
I'm no longer in control of its use. But if you look at it carefully, or with the help of a friend, you might realize that this thing is actually controlling me. It tells me to take it when it wants,
yes,
to use.
Yes. Okay. So that's addiction. Now I want to ask Dr. Egbeh, when people are abusing substance, you hear people say all sorts of things. They will try to tell you the reason and the usefulness of these substances, the good parts of it. People have actually tried to tell me why cannabis is very good. In fact, people try to say that, so people are saying that if you take this, it will help with. Are there any health benefits? Just before we jump to the danger, before they say, these people are always talking about the negativity. Some people are saying that, are there any, if I'm starting from alcohol, are there any, they say when you take red wine, it's good for the heart. alcohol is good for the stomach pain. Now, are there any health benefits of substances? So you're going to list them and tell us, are there medical indications to use the substances? That's what we want to ask now.
Thank you so much for this perspective. It's a very balanced one.
Yes.
And maybe I should start with a joke a little.
Okay, no problem.
You know, I hear a cardiology professor ask some students, how many of you take alcohol? And of course, you know, medical students, nobody raises their hand. So it's a lot of you at risk of dying from heart disease. So there's that relationship between red wine and
cardiovascular health.
Yes, but so in moderation, a lot of the things people take, like alcohol, even cola nuts that we are used to, they all have health benefits. And usually it's important to listen when people are trying to advocate for their use. It's important to be on their side that, okay, they are benefits. Instead of starting ab initio, no, this thing, it's, if they feel listened to, then they'll be more likely to listen to it. So some people think because it's natural, cannabis is from the cannabis plant, so it has advantages.
Yeah.
And even cocaine is from coca leaves. In some places they chew it locally. However, we must notice something. That when you now go into the laboratory to get things out, increase concentration, moderation might be difficult to achieve. However, most of these things have uses, medicinal and otherwise. For instance, cannabis is being licensed in some parts, in some Western countries, for treatment of pain that is intractable, especially people who are dying end of life, palliative care, cancer and all of that. Not like the de facto pain thing. We know we have a pain ladder. So they have reasons, but they are not very common reasons. So it's good to have a balanced view of these things. And keep in mind that when we now distill and increase the concentration, the aim of the people who are distilling these things is to make profits.
Not for the
benefits.
Exactly.
It's to make profit because they know people are going to get hooked and they will stop taking them.
Yes.
So they keep increasing and adding all kinds of impurities. And because it's bought on the black market, it's difficult for regulatory agencies to check how safe is this thing you're taking. So that's the way to look at it. But of course, there are benefits.
Okay. So they could be like, of course, tramadol. We use it in the hospital to treat patients. So it's prescribed at an appropriate dose. So for the right indication and for the particular time. So it's a dosage. And then when people are abusing tramadol, they load overdose inside drinks and take them
because of tolerance. They need higher levels to get that same high. So you keep exposing your system to higher and higher levels that are no longer medically safe.
All right, we still go. If we're at the first half of our conversation, so right now we're going to open the phone lines so people can call in. So if you're listening, you can call and talk to Dr. Egbeh. You can talk to Claire. You can ask questions, get clarifications, and the number. You can even send us WhatsApp messages. I have the message already, which I'm going to read out, and then the doctor will take care of that. Well, the number to call is 080 94 44 40 59. 080 94 44 40 59. I'll take that for the last time. 080 94 44 40 59. That's the number to call and ask questions. Join the conversation. You can make your contributions, and we will really appreciate that. So I'll just take this WhatsApp message and I want to read that. I hope. So the person says, "Good afternoon, Dr. Thelma. I feel family pressure." Sorry, let me just get that out again. Okay. Good afternoon, Dr. Thelma. I feel family pressure and life stress are the main reasons people get high. Because of recent, the pressure from family members is on the high side, especially on the males. So they end up getting high to forget the stress. This is coming from Miles from Unicorn. So that's a student who says that he feels family pressure and life stress. That is like the number one thing Claire also said. Life stress, family pressure, especially on the males. So some people at a young age are already taking responsibilities. They have to fend for themselves, pay their fees. And that brings us to what we're talking about, interventions. We have bursary, we have maybe students have a payment package, those things used to be there before. Like maybe you're a student, you can pay a certain amount, you can get loan to train, and probably after training you can work and then pay off the loan of your training. But I mean, our economy and those things are not in place right now, so someone has got to take all that stress and probably resort to substance abuse to forget his troubles. All right, thank you, Miles, for your contribution. Okay, so now we're going to ask, what really are the dangers of substance abuse? And I want you to categorically spend time. Claire is going to talk about the student's perspective as a youngster. What do you think is the danger of indulging? But Dr. Otu is going to talk about the medical aspect, and in that I want you to really talk about it in diverse. So you're talking about the psychosocial, talking about the mental health, talking about the medical aspect. Let's know the diverse ways in which substance abuse can be a problem. Thank you, sir. So the floor is open for you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Thelma. I'd like to start with what it does to resilience.
Okay.
Resilience is the ability to bounce back after adversity, to thrive through adversity. So yes, we all say life is stressful, and it's going to get more stressful because the world as we know it is changing. The way people do things is changing. Nigeria had some way of doing things, but now we are all embracing American capitalism. It's going to change a lot of things. Nigeria as it is, people are putting so much emphasis on getting a university degree. So people are going to go through all kinds of things, whether it's comfortable or not, in the absence of all the support we talked about. So stress, we should prepare for it.
Okay.
However, something is happening. Some of us like to talk about a chemical coping generation. The people who think, the generation who think they can cope with things by using chemicals because they are so exposed to the internet, there's so much of information, so they just think, okay, it's not about what I need to do, what do I need to get through this?
Exactly.
Now, chemicals, helpful, shortcuts to get through things, but if you were to spend a little time to okay, I'm having issues with my scheduling, so much stress. How do I get around to getting the sleep I need for the day? This period is very stressful, medical stress. The provost is trying to make sure the academic calendar, so many things have to be done. But I, as the medical student or the student with all the pressure, how do I adjust myself?
Yeah.
Especially when I know, okay, there's an academic timetable, the exams are at this time. What do I do so I don't do the fire brigade thing? So I don't need coffee, for instance,
Exactly.
to have to
Stay up and
yeah. So am I having issues with sleep? Instead of having to need a drug so I can sleep better, do I think of things like sleep hygiene? So if we have an opportunity to use a psychoactive substance to cope, we may be losing an opportunity to cope in healthier ways. So sometimes stress can bring out the best in us. They can make us more organized. They can make us more empathetic. But we lose those opportunities when we rely so much,
on the chemical substance.
even if we are still in control. So for me, that lost opportunity to build resilience might be one thing. 2, usually we define substance problems like dependence in terms of the time people take the substance, recover from its effects. You might decide, okay, I'm coming for this class, but I don't like this lecture. So just coming to the class, I feel stressed, so I go around the corner, I take a little weed or a cigarette. But I may have to wait a little time, maybe 5-10 minutes, so the smell reduces, takes some tom-tom and all of that. That's time lost. So eventually it increases. If you calculate, you might use up to 2 hours in your day, either recovering from the effect or trying to get it. When it's difficult to get, you have to go to certain places, leave the house at all times of the night just to get it so you can function. So that time spent and the time spent being productive. Yeah. I'm talking more on when it's not even a problem, when it's just normal use, so to say.
Yes, when it's not even an addiction yet.
But we're beginning to psychologically, lean on it to get through life, to get through stress. So That may be some of the effects. And know that whatever stress you go through in university prepares you for more stress adult life. Because adult life, work-life balance,
family,
you have to earn money, family,
and then you start being responsible for other life.
Exactly. So now let's talk about when it now begins to be a problem. Even before it becomes a problem, when you do substance at parties, and you bow to peer pressure to increase to the levels of intoxication and all of that, you might engage in things you will later regret. High-risk behaviors become dissipated.
Yes.
So people have got pregnant, have got STDs and other things, or even got raped.
Yes. After using substance.
Then it's going to eventually affect academics. When you come down with dependence, nothing else is as important, because it takes over a part of the brain, the reward pathway of the brain. The pathway that helps you decide what's important in life or not. So once it takes over that pathway, it becomes the most important thing. The desire to even go to school is no longer around. I've seen intelligent people in my work go down. We struggle to even get them to at least get a degree. And they've had all the best support in the world. They could have gone to the best schools, postgraduate and all of that. They could have been professors. But they couldn't continue because of substance use. So, and then it continues to damage the brain. So leading to other disorders, the chief psychosis, where you lose touch with reality. Because at the biochemical level, dopamine increase. And usually most of the substances increase levels of dopamine in the brain to levels that are they overwhelm the brain's homeostatic ability to deal with that, and it becomes a problem.
Yeah.
So we could go on and on and on, but it's safe to think of them in terms of productivity, in terms of ability to cope, either cope with chemicals or not, in terms of high-risk behaviors, in terms of damage to the brain, and of course, damage to other body organs.
The liver, the kidneys, the heart.
And when it now goes to, injectable drug use, the other problems that come when you crave for it. You don't know where the needle, whether you're going to pick the needle, as long as you can take it. So all of that.
So you have people contracting HIV, hepatitis, all the infections that could be transmitted via use of contaminated needles and syringes. Apart from other organ damage like hearts, they have to have a cardiac arrest, they have arrhythmias, they can have kidney failure.
In fact, probably from the media, we may be aware that one of the commonest causes nowadays of death in celebrities is overdose.
Yes. So most of them do this overdose and then they get respiratory failure. Most of those drugs suppress their respiratory drive and then they die.
The interesting thing with overdose is you didn't set out to do an overdose.
Exactly.
It's in the black market. So you think, I'm in control. It's the dose I usually take. Then maybe you got it from a different supplier.
You don't know what he has done to it. You don't know what he has laced it with or what he has added to it. And we have a question on WhatsApp, so let's go there. Okay, this person says, good evening, doctor. Most young people get high because they believe that they are living life while they are still young. Is there no possibility of these things affecting them in the future? This is Joy from 08. Thank you so much, Joy, for your question. And Dr. Egbeh has just been answering your question. Yes, there is a great possibility of it affecting them. In fact, future is too far. It says it's affecting them as they use it. So as you start, it affects you from preventing you from being able to have healthy coping mechanisms, which is normal in human life. And then from there, it goes on to mental health issues. The person can have psychosis. The person becomes a stark, raving mad person. Or maybe a madman with clothes. We see some people that are mentally deranged on the streets, in the dustbin, and then you ask yourself, sometimes some of them could be from illicit drug use. And they get to that point, and maybe they have no one to help them, no family member, or they've strayed far away from their family member. So yes, Joy, it could affect you, not in future. It starts from right when you're using it, when it seems very innocent. It seems like it's just a stick of cigarette. It just cannot be just a wrap, right? Just 2 wraps. It helps me to read, isn't it? So I'm coming to Claire. Claire. So Dr. Egbeh has told us the medical aspect, and you, I'm asking you because you're actually an advocacy person. So what are those things you think can happen to a student who has indulged or who is indulging in substance abuse? What are the dangers the person is going to face, likely to face?
Okay, thank you for that question. I'm thinking of a lot of things at the moment, but I'll just state them as they come.
Okay.
Right. The first thing at the top of my head is you get so used to using it that you cannot function without it. You know, some people have told me, oh, when I take this certain substance, I'm more productive. Without it, I cannot be productive. I cannot do this and do that. So that's one of those things. You get so used to it that you go to, sacrificing even your money to get it, and as much as you can just to get it and to be functional.
Yeah.
Another effect is when I think of it in the social instance. For example, you attend a party and there are substances around, but like he said, you may not know that it's been spiked or it's been poisoned, right? So I've heard of people that this would be a normal dose of or drug of a substance like weed, and they became unconscious, or it was even alcohol and they mixed it with fentanyl or something, and then they became unconscious. And so just having those kind of issues. And then even when you now move on to, okay, I'm using this, so it's affecting my relationship with other people when it's so severe. So you'd see that people are complaining that this thing you're using, is it not too much? And you start avoiding those people, or you cut away from those people. You don't want to hear anybody preach to you. I mean, you're living your life. Okay, for example, let's say you're able to function to some extent. You're living your life, so why are they stopping you now? So that can be another effect, right? And then when you talk about family, right? So you are so hooked to this, and you become disconnected from the people that care about you. You're just in your own world, trying to do this. And when it becomes so bad, some people are not. They now just abstain from school entirely, and they're just alone in their houses, off camp, doing these things, and their family gets together. Oh, they're not in school. They're just having their own leisure time at home and everything. So those are some of the social effects, yes. Right? Not really in the medical sense, but in that way, that's how I think it can affect students. And also we've had some people that because they are abstaining from school, they don't attend lectures. Some people might even miss their exams, they start having carryovers, they start having issues with school. You have some people that they've been in school for years and they've not graduated. It's not because they are dull per se. It's just this life circumstance that has put them in a fix. Yeah. So yeah.
Thank you so much. That's explicitly put. It has no good sides to it, if you ask me. None that I can imagine. You understand? Because even when you're trying to escape stress and you need it for the euphoria, it's temporary. So you're going to wake up and the stress is going to be there. So you're not telling me that I took this and when I wake up the stress is disappearing. It's not going anywhere. So the stress is staring you in the face. So you need to look for other avenues to take care of the stress, because when you get high, you sleep off for 30 minutes or 2 hours, or even if it's a whole day, when you wake up, that stress is right there with you.
And one shocking thing is, for instance, for mood, when you're sad, when you're going through a breakup or smaller difficulty, and you take substance to lift you up with the alcohol.
Yeah.
When it clears, you go to a deeper level.
Oh, really?
Yes. So
So that's why they just keep. I know what. So that's why people just keep drinking. So I'm heartbroken. I drank 2 glasses, slept up, woke up. Oh my God, I'm still having. So you now need a bottle.
So if you had a heartbreak or maybe a bad results, you're going through, that's the time to stay sober. Because you're vulnerable emotionally.
Yeah.
When you recover, if you use substance to artificially lift out of that mood, you seem to lower them.
So you'll be worse for it.
Yes.
Okay, so let me ask you, what is the link between, is there a link between substance abuse and suicide?
Very strong. I'm so happy about this. The same coping we're talking about. If you're gradually reducing your ability to cope with life stress by running to substance, someday when the substance clears, you can't take the pill anymore. And because of the availability of certain substances, you might even be a way and escape. Because one thing that increases suicide is availability of methods.
Yes.
So you might just decide, oh no, I can't take this pill. Because over time, you're reducing your ability to cope. So maybe what we should take away from this discussion today is, if I'm going through stuff, I should avoid substance. Let me try to find, how do I get around this? Instead of, yes, initially when there's a problem, there's an aspect of emotion-focused coping. Your emotions are all, but at some point you should be able to take control and now do problem-focused coping. What do I do about this? The emotions are over, but I need to move forward. How do I? And the mind is so interesting. You wrap your head around it, give yourself some time. And maybe subsequent conversations we might get to talk about. How do you give yourself psychotherapy? That's part of what Claire was talking about. Yes. How do you communicate and support people? And that includes ourselves. How do we talk to ourselves to get ourselves out of a bad state? Instead of going the shortcut, substance, which eventually might increase our chances of suicide. So the research is very clear. People who use substance, their risk of suicide is
higher. So that's another reason to stay away from substance. We have a message on WhatsApp. So let's take this one. It says, good day, Dr. Thelma. Is it possible for a person to overdose on cannabis?
I love that question.
So please answer this question.
Cannabis is a very interesting substance. Overdose, like you mentioned earlier, may not depress respiration. And cannabis has a very wide therapeutic index. The interesting thing also about cannabis is at certain doses it acts differently. Certain doses is sedative, certain doses stimulants.
I even heard of a drug that helps people with their appetite.
So people are able to.
Okay.
But the major problem is, where are you getting it from? Okay. Things could get back. You may not get the pure cannabis. Yeah. So that's something you have to keep in mind. So yes, you might not overdose on cannabis to cause death. But people have been brought to a mental health facility in a psychotic state.
They took cannabis.
Maybe because they took it for the first time.
Yes.
So intoxication, or they got it from another supplier. So you can imagine the embarrassment. So maybe that's another way to look at that. But cannabis is very unique. Another unique thing about cannabis is it may not be possible to really demonstrate withdrawal symptoms. They are psychological, they are not so physical, not like alcohol. You can get seizures, but in cannabis, working with people who are recovering from cannabis use problems, I notice this void, this emptiness. Life is no longer, doesn't have meaning, food doesn't taste nice because you're not using cannabis. So it's a kind of withdrawal symptom. So cannabis is very interesting. But it's a psychoactive substance.
It's psychoactive, so you have to stay away from it. There is no dose that Dr. Otu is going to tell you that don't take up to 1 wrap, you will be no. So do not even take it at all. Okay, we have just 10 minutes. I told you that this topic is so interesting, I don't even know what to do. We will have to do another episode on a different angle to it. We're going to have to do, in fact, you know that one of the top ranking substances that is abuse. Now we can't call it a substance. Hey, thing abuse is in social media. So that is going to be a topic on another day. And I will have Dr. Egbeh come to us and gladly tell us how addicted we are how dependent we are, and and what it's going to do to us.
Those forms of behavioral addiction,
Yes.
different from substance addiction now,
Yes.
behavioral addictions.
Yes.
They are making their way into standard classification of disorders.
Exactly.
Gaming disorder is
Gaming disorders, betting disorders.
Yes, gambling.
So we have a whole lot of topics that I'm going to bring you back sometime back here to talk about it. So now we're just going to talk about how, is there any hope? I have a question. Someone says, Miles is back with another question. Says, what can one do to cope with the stress? That's one. Because these days you can't even talk to anyone because of their judgmental thoughts and looks after you open up to them. So this is something the youth are facing. So quickly, Claire, you're going to tell me the issues young people have. Because we always say, talk to somebody. Why didn't he talk to someone? But you're a young person. You experience it all. Relationship issues, school issues. What will make you not talk to someone? What will make you rather go to substance? Why aren't the young people talking? Is it that we're not listening? What's the problem? Tell me about the young people. Why can't people talk to us?
Okay, I think one of the reasons Miles has already mentioned is the judgment.
Yes.
We live in a very conservative and judgmental society.
Conservative, hypocritically conservative.
So many stereotypes.
Yes.
Once you see someone like this, you have this stereotype.
Once you think differently, you're innocent. That's what people do. So please don't say conservative. Say falsely conservative. Okay, go ahead.
So you have a problem, you have an issue, but you are not sure that if you walk up to this person will listen to you. You know, there's a time when you just broach the topic and the person is already preaching to you. Sometimes people just need to be listened to first of all, without judgment. But when you tell the typical Nigerian, yeah, this thing happened, they're already judging you and preaching and saying you should do this, you should do that. So people just, prefer to be by themselves and not, talk about their issues or their problems. There's also the thing of you are not sure if they would understand you, or you're not sure that if I tell this person this thing, or how many more people will tell.
Hear it.
So you tell Mr. A this, and before you know, the whole class has heard that you've had this problem, and everybody's looking at you with one weird eye, and you are having a pity party or a sympathy party. So they just feel like, or we just feel like, since there's nobody else to talk to, at least let me get rid of the emotion.
I help myself.
And that's why they take the other route.
I think so. I want to believe it. Dr. Egbeh, we don't have time. Can you tell us, for someone that's addicted, can they get help? Is there any hope for someone who's into substance and is helpless? So can they get help?
Yes, they can get help. And I really wish they could get that help from the medical center.
Exactly.
So if Director of Medical Services Unica is listening to us, some of us are willing to offer services, pro bono.
Thank you.
We could train some people there to be able to even listen.
Exactly.
To people. It starts there. If people realize maybe I have a problem, 50% of the problem
is solved. Exactly.
And when they try to get help and they realize, okay, this thing can be solved. It gives them hope.
Yeah.
For us experts, we have a lot of things we do to assist people to gradually come out. But most of the time, it's very difficult at certain levels of substance use disorder to do it while outside. Because when you're trying to stay away from something that is trying to control you, the craving will come, the withdrawal symptoms, and as soon as you take a little of it, it takes over the reward pathway again. So most times, inpatient residential treatment may be helpful. You get checked into a rehabilitation facility. And the time you spend without it, you go through having to face the withdrawal symptoms, you tell yourself, I can do this. It clears up the system. We usually call it detoxification. So the system is clear. The reward pathway is free to now think of, what were the things that were really important to me? What did I want to be in secondary school before I started using substance? So you begin to reevaluate your life and decide, it's the direction I want to go. But generally speaking, if we maybe think that our use of substance, the kind of friends we're going with, might be a problem. Then once there is a will, that's what I'm saying. You can get information on the internet, suggestions. Just have the will that, okay, this thing, no, this direction I'm going might get to a point where it will become more dangerous. So I think we can start from there. And I hope the time will come when we will have more people within the university community who will be more willing to listen to people and give assistance without being preaching, without
being judgmental,
helping people get out.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Okay. Now, well, we have one more. There's a question here. The question says, time is fast running out. Are there centers in Calabar where people going through life stress can go to and seek advice or help? Dr. Egbeh.
Yes, they are. And I think our churches are doing a very good thing.
Okay.
People who are spiritual, not religious.
Exactly.
Spirituality
That's
is more, yes. People who are more spiritual, they have better mental health. So some closeness maybe to pastor or man of God we trust could be a lot of help in dealing with some things. That's informal. But the formal, we have the psychiatric hospital.
Okay.
We have the University of Calabar Teaching Hospital.
Yes.
Nowadays on Mondays at the General Hospital, we run a mental health clinic there.
Good.
And we have private hospitals. We have about 4 private hospitals in Calabar. And we're hoping that eventually the psychiatric hospital has a permanent site along Thelma Road.
Okay.
We're hoping we might just get a rehabilitation center
there
because it's becoming a very big problem.
Yes, it is. Okay, Claire, I'm hoping that when you're done with your training as an advocate, you would have an office where your colleagues can relate with you and learn to trust you. Young people tend to talk to people they can trust, people they can relate to. I've been in a place where I've had to oversee youngsters, and maybe that's what made me youthful till now. When they can trust you, when you don't judge them, they tend to tell you anything and they listen to you. Seriously, I believe that they listen to you readily when you don't judge them, when you don't make it look like I'm a saint and you're the devil and you've done this, you've done that. Oh, there's no remedy. So I want you to, I hope that after your training, like Dr. Egbeh said, he wishes the university authority could have a facility where people can access mental health care, access mental health, or let's call it psychotherapy. They could have someone to talk to, or what we call guidance and counseling in secondary school. It helps a lot of people. It even helps people choose their career path, whether science or arts, the guidance and counseling. So, and we have a department of guidance and counseling in the university. So I think you have a job to do, a big one. Once you're done with your training, you're going to be a super advocate, and then you have to advocate for your colleagues. So you get a place where students can walk in and talk to people they can trust. You have Dr. Egbeh, who is always 100% ready to help, and other doctors who can come in and talk to students. I believe that if a lot of people have information, they won't do substance. I believe that a lot of people have someone to talk to, they won't do certain things. So this is a job, and the onus is on you to be a good advocate, and I'm sure you are so passionate. We have to go. It's 4 o'clock, it's 5 o'clock rather, it's 1 hour, and it seems like we've been talking for just 15 minutes. There's a whole lot we've not talked. I promise you, you're going to be back on the show. Dr. Egbeh, it's always a blast having you, talking with you on any forum. I'm so happy that you could come. Thank you so much, Claire. You're an inspiration. I pray that so many people will look up to you and also emulate and tow your path. I pray that you have Godspeed in your training, and then you will turn out to be a shining star. They will be featuring you on our show often. Thank you so much, Dr. Egbeh. Any last words before we go? Just 2 seconds.
It's not bad to take substance,
Okay.
but take it to relax. Don't take it to cope with stress.
Exactly. So people take alcohol, some people take a bottle of beer or 2. And so Dr. Egbeh is not going to stop drinking. But please do not abuse substance. And when he said it's not bad to take substance, he didn't say take cocaine to relax. He's saying it because substance ranges from alcohol. So that's where he's roping it in. Thank you so much for staying online with us and listening in, tuning in ABC of Health with Dr. Thelma. It's been a wonderful 1 hour with Dr. Egbeh and Miss Claire. So till same time next week, we're going to bring you another topic where you're going to pick information concerning your health. Remember that you really don't have anything except you have good health. So thank you so much for listening. Keep it locked on 103.5 Unical Radio International, and see you next week.
Unical Radio International, Entertainment 360, Edutainment 360, Infotainment 360. We smile like that.